Hey guys, episode 41 with my guest Marcus Jones. Marcus is a really cool guy. His story is from been in a dark place and just making the decision to completely 180 his life, giving up the booze, getting his health back, being more active, getting into a better relationship, and literally now his goal is to help as many people that are in similar situations as he was to live a better life. So it's a great show. I hope you enjoy it. Don't forget, give us a like, give us a subscribe, comment below, share if you enjoy the experience of the Live, Live, Play podcast, and enjoy. Trust me, every time my alarm goes off.
Depends on the sport a little bit, but
I need to worry they're bad at what I teach.
So excited to hit this workout.
I'm so glad my parents never let me.
You're listening to the Live, Live, Play podcast.
So today in the show, I have Marcus Jones. Marcus Jones is a transformation coach. He works with men, helping them live a better life. And I'll let Marcus tell a little bit more about that. We first met in person at the Paul Mort seminar. The first, I think we were the first group to be certified.
Yeah, that's right.
Level 4?
Level 4.
Level 4 coaching. Yeah, I had to read it off the start. And transformative coaching. So Marcus, thanks for being on the show, dude.
Thanks very much for inviting me. Big pleasure of mine.
So, like, I suppose the first thing is, and like people are kind of, what is transformational coaching? But what kind of got you into wanting to help people or want to become a coach? Like the same, like myself, like we all got the same email on the same day that this is going to happen, and then 20 of us signed up for it. So there's something that we all have in common. But kind of what for you was the turning point for you to want to start helping others with and being a transformation coach?
I think it all started with joining with Paul. I started with him doing the Unstoppable 28 in November 2021, and that was like a lead up to Christmas. And I was like, oh, do you know what, this 28 days I'll use it. It might help me, might not, but like the impact it had on me in 28 days was like, where do I sign up next with Paul? And I've always embraced and enjoyed helping others. I did the next course with Paul, so the Mansformation, and that was the 3 months where and then we had a graduation day, so to speak, at his offices. And again, it was that buzz of everyone on the same mission and everyone wanting to help each other and others. And I think the bug sort of got me, and I suppose with wanting to help others and the journey I've been on the last 5.5 years, I thought that it was just counselling that I needed and talking to someone every week. But in fact, it was getting me to ask me, getting me to get the most important questions to ask myself, really.
Yeah.
You and I know now that coaching isn't about telling someone what to do. It's about asking world-class questions.
Yeah.
And I suppose a bit of a light bulb moment once doing it was like, wow, what an impact. And imagine if I had just helped just one person in their life, that makes such a difference. And yeah, that's sort of where I went from there, really.
And I was kind of the same. I went into Mansformation. Mansformation first. And then again, you went into a group of people that were all trying to better themselves. They were all supportive. And a lot of people got your situation. A lot of people got my situation in regards to who I am, where I am in my life. And there's people that are further down the road that have been where you are now and have been successfully through it. And there's people that are nowhere near where you are now, and you can help them. And it's all about kind of helping everyone else to live and be that better person, I suppose. And again, like
as you say, like when I remember seeing a video from Paul, a friend sent to me, and I was like, this seems like an arrogant git. And then I thought nothing of it. And then I was on a mastermind, and he did a show. He had a talk on the mastermind. And I was like, I know this guy from somewhere. And I twigged that, oh, it's your man that wrote some book and he's trying to sell you on something. And within listening to him for an hour, I'm like, wow, that 1 minute video doesn't do him any justice. Like, this guy is legit. I'm going to give him a go. And then, sure, that was I'm still with him 2022. So I'm there 2 years now, and obviously did the course with yourself and the other guys. And yeah, it's like he's helping, like, again, helping us become better at what we need to do and then that's allowing us to then help other people. So I suppose, where was the click for you when it was right, I'm going to start going outside? Because obviously initially the 28 days and the Unstoppable is to help you become better at what you do, your life and what you're doing. But then when was the turnaround for you to start going, right, I'm going to start helping other people? That's going to be my thing.
Yeah. And I still struggle with this sometimes, because I know, we all know, like, for instance, Paul's energy is contagious, and we've picked up that energy and sort of ran with it. And I think it's hard because initially I've tried to get the same impact to my, like, partner and my family, but, like, I suppose what I took away from Paul is not expecting me from others. So initially, when you said about helping others to start with, I was mainly like, well, you should do this, you should do that, you should do this, because it's definitely, you should journal, you should meditate, you should take cold showers, because Paul says it works, and it's worked for me. But I think flipping that, what you said, and when did I realize I could help others, is just by, I feel I'm quite empathetic. I feel like I'm a good listener, and I can ask you these world-class questions even before Paul. But did I believe in myself before Paul? Probably not. So it's a bit of a two-pronged answer. Is like, I've always wanted to help people. I don't know in what element. When I was counselling, they even come up then of even, like, I don't know, maybe randomly doing like a Beavers or Scout leader, just to help kids enjoy themselves or help other people. But yeah, the other side of it was not gaining the confidence from Paul to be like, he can do it, and he even says himself, with 2 GCSEs at 21, he didn't have nowhere to he was like, I've made, a 7-figure business, and I've got the work ethic to do the same. Why can't I do that 7-figure business? And I suppose it's Paul giving me that light bulb, holy shit moment, as we call it, to be like, yeah, I'm to gain the confidence to do this. I'm on it.
And I think another thing that I suppose, like, and I fall foul of it, and I'm sure most of us do, is when we start out, it's kind of like it's going to take a lot longer than you think before you start getting the feedback that you kind of really want. You want people to be asking you the big questions, and you want people booking in your calls, and so you can impact more and more people, and it takes time. But you've already started that. So, like, on your, like, if you don't know, Marcus is on his social media. Since I started following, which was just after the seminar, the content that you put out it's daily. It hits nail on the head for a lot of people. I like it, it's enjoyable. Like, I like seeing it, because I know how hard it is to go in front of a camera and post every day. But I also know that, like, that one video that you posted 3 months ago, someone could see that today, and that could be the thing that literally helps them do a 180 on their life. And that's the beauty of what you're doing. That's the beauty of what we learned off Paul and from other people that we like are surrounding ourselves with. So like when you decided to start helping other people and you're certified and you're trained in how to do it, when you decided that you want to help men mainly, like that would be kind of your, not that you'll only help men, but what would be the biggest problems you're seeing in men now that like for you that's why you can help them? Like where do you find that? And even with people you worked with or people you've kind of had calls with, where is like what's the big issues you're seeing that they can address? And again, they can address quite easily. You just have to own up to what they're doing.
Yeah, I think men, yeah, we're completely different. Like our head space is, you know, there's a reason why that, you know, between 40 and 45, you know, the biggest killer for men is suicide. We're almost scared to talk, you know, and I think a lot of us bottle it up, and then there's two options, right? Either do talk and let it all out, or take the other option, you know. And that I suicide's impacted not me personally, but close friends, and I think I've seen what it can do, and I've been in dark places myself, and men are really shit at talking about it. So I think it's a lot of it's society, isn't it? Like, especially my for instance, my parents' age, like when I said ages and ages ago I'm going counselling, they were like, really? Like, you don't need that, you know. It's the stigma, isn't it? So all of this is stigma, and not even if your peer groups and mates, you know. I've had, when I was going through my darkest times, they were like, oh, you know, the classic, oh, snap out of it, you know, all the classic one-liners, oh, you'll be all right, snap out of it, and man up, and all these words, and you're like, well, look, because I've been there, I feel I've got better tools, techniques, questions that I can be like, well, you know, because we, as a society and men, we focus on using then booze and other situations to then turn on and be like, wow, that's all right, I'll have a beer because that will sort my anxiety moods out, because that's what I did, right? Life stresses, relationships, kids, work, all of these then become an excuse to be like, yeah, brilliant. And I think like a lot of that, women are more susceptible to talking and letting it out, whereas we bottle it up a lot.
And it's kind of it's in our nature. I suppose it's the survival of the species. Men we're built differently to women, 100%, physically, emotionally, intelligently, depending on the situation and what we're doing. But one of the things, like you said, is like I've witnessed and I've had friends that have gone through some quite dark times. And that whole thing of, oh, snap out of it. Yeah, you'd be grand. Like, what's wrong? Just get your ass out of bed. And again, a couple of years ago, even further than that, I would have been one of those guys, like, just get up and do something. Like, you're playing the victim mentality. And but one of the things that I've kind of realized and how I can kind of equate it, and you kind of would have had to have done stuff like this to equate it. So if you've ever done a challenge, or like run a marathon or ultra or swim, or done something physically that is so physically and mentally exhausting, and you're just like, why the hell am I here? What am I doing this for? And there's no amount of music or talking that can get you out of that spiral. You have to physically and mentally go through it till your brain starts kind of coming around. And it's like peaks and troughs. So you have to go through it. And it's kind of like, I suppose, like an addict to a point, is that you have to get to a point where you're able to change.
Yeah.
And that's the only real person that can do that is you. So, you know, people say you have to hit rock bottom. And like, there's a lot, like, but you're right in saying like guys don't talk. I would be a guy that like I would open up to certain people. I don't talk to a lot. At the cert, like obviously I was forced to open up on things I didn't think I didn't even know. Like I got caught out in those questions. We were pretty good, but it helped me in a big way. But like I think it's fascinating you say like most guys between 40 45, that's the suicide rate. That's where lads just don't know what to be doing, and then they end up kind of making that decision, which not only impacts them, it impacts families and friends, and they think they're doing the world a service, but they're actually doing the world a disservice by taking that option, which is I think is quite tough. And like I suppose like you, like I know when we spoke, like you gave up drinking and things like that. Like you had your own personal struggles as well.
Yeah, massively. So I went through a divorce back in I think it's 2016. I've been with my ex. I was with her like 14 years, so predominantly all my adult life. And it's just had a massive impact on me. And basically, I used alcohol as an escapism. I had probably 6 to 9 months off work through depression, anxiety, whatever you want to call it, and just literally turn to the booze, whether it be like in the night, whether it be at night or whether it be like at weekends. I'd be like, right, this, any excuse for me to go to my mates. Oh, should we go for one? And then it would lead to a night of destruction and a weekend where on the Sunday, my Sundays were like the fear of everything that I'd done at the weekend or who I upset. And then it just, because I've been on antidepressants, you're not supposed to drink on them. So it would just escalate and escalate and escalate. And I'm like, it was just using booze as a crutch was just the wrong idea. And, I'm counseling would tell me that every week, but my fuck it attitude was like, well, I haven't got much else. I'll just booze and booze and booze and booze. That give me self-confidence, but it totally does the opposite. And
it was compounding the destruction, really.
Yeah,
because
completely.
it's that limit, that instant win for more anxiety, more fear, more stress.
Yeah. And basically it ultimately led more to, like you said, more to the depression, weight gain, bad skin. There's so many, like, there's a picture of me, like I used to go to my mate's house every Thursday, like, because they would help me through the depression. I'd go there for a meal, and like I remember turning up in my suit, just really unkept, like a big ginger beard, just like really like not looking after myself in any way. I had like bad, like really random off topic, but I had like really bad like mouth ulcers and just like because of all the booze and just like bad health. And I ended up having to pay like 15, I think like $2,000 for like my gums, and everything was just to shit because I was just absolutely smashing my body every weekend.
And like when you get like the likes of mouth ulcers and all that run down, that's your body's way of telling you that you are run down.
Yeah.
Like I know, like if I start getting stuff like that, I know that either I need to pull back on the training, I need to kind of make sure I'm getting a kind of recovery day in, or I need to do my diet's gone sideways, or work's just too much. I acknowledge here, listen, you're starting to burn out, so you need to take notice of that. But years ago, I didn't. I just kind of fought through it. And again, I suppose as your youth is wasted on the young. Because if you were able to go back and redo it, you could do it a lot different. But then I suppose you wouldn't have your experiences, which have led you to be the person you are, which is leading you to be the person that can help other people through things because
Yeah.
when you've experienced bad times yourself, you can relate better to people. And I think that's and we all have bad times. No one's bad times is worse than, I don't believe that like stuff that happens to me is my bad stuff and your bad stuff is your bad stuff. I don't think
Exactly.
like I wouldn't equate that mine is worse than yours or vice versa, because I don't know your experience and I don't know how you felt and what you were going through, and you don't know my experience and how I felt and what. But the fact that you can relate to, I get it. You're looking to escape. You're looking to just hide away from it. But what you need to do is you need to face it. You need to own it, take ownership of it, and then move it forward. And by making the change. And again, like when I suppose, when was it that you knew you had to do something different? Because obviously you were going to counseling, but you were still kind of still doing what you were doing. But when was it that you were like kind of, right, I'm going to do this. This is the change. I'm done.
Yeah.
I have to make a difference.
Do you know what? There's 2, 3, 4 different things. I remember going to like an all-inclusive cruise with my I think it was with my family. Then 3 days later, I was going to Vegas with my best mate. And obviously, an all-inclusive cruise, obviously, I was boozing at the time. I was on, it was like strongbow after any excuse. I'd be like in the bar, drinking. And then, obviously, I think I had like 2 nights back or 4 nights back, and then went to Vegas for 4 nights, 5 days. I ended up, because of all the damage to my body, I ended up probably throwing, I think it was on the last night/day, I was throwing up blood in Vegas. So that was a bit of a warning sign. That was one of them. Yeah. Another one was my nephews, who see me as their like hero. I remember them sending me or give me a Christmas card with me on they drew it, so they were quite young at the time, but they drew a picture of me and like load of bottles of cans on the table of booze and like me slumped over, and I'm like, I'm their role model, and if that's how they see me, that is horrendous. And then the last one, really, last 2 were lockdown and finding a new partner. So like lockdown hit, and there was 2 options. I've took pictures of me looking like massively overweight, like bloated, horrendous. And there was 2 options in lockdown of kind of fight or flight, carry on boozing every night. And I decided to get fit. Yeah. And I'll be honest, the lockdown was probably the best thing that happened to me. I had no distractions. I was on eating gusto meals. So I chose the meals, what calories they were. I went on a calorie deficit myself. I chose to ride a bike every day, when we're allowed out for our exercise, and then just rode with it. And then the year afterwards, with my partner, I was like, I think it's 2020. It must be 2021. Yeah, I said we were planning to go away in March. I'm gonna not drink till March. And then one night we had a bit of a disagreement. She got quite pissed, and I was like, and that made me, something flipped and said, right, that's it. Because I saw how she was, I'm not ever drinking again. Yeah. And I didn't, and I haven't. I think it's 19 months now ish.
And how have you found that not drink? Because I know like it's quite, like, again, in Ireland and England, I think it's still kind of, it's a very obscure thing not to be drinking or not to drink. Definitely in Ireland, but I know England's the same kind of drinking culture as Ireland. Because if you're out and you're not, but how did you find that when you made that like 100% right, I'm not going to do it? Like, how was that for you? What, like, kind of changes did you have to make, and what were the lessons you learned from like with socializing with friends and family and stuff, and being the teetotaler there, and like just how did you navigate that, I suppose, is the big question.
Yeah, to start with, pretty tough. I've listened to a podcast recently and on it as well, for a lot of people giving up, and it's true. You lose 95% of your social circle through giving up booze. So that was the hardest part to start with for me, is like I felt like I've lost friends, so to speak. I suppose they were there when I wanted to booze. So that was the hardest part to start with, knowing that I didn't really get invited out to these events anymore because I didn't booze. I don't particularly agree with all that, because I'm a no different person on the booze to not on the booze. I've been to weddings, still been that mad one on the dance floor, but I can leave at 10 o'clock when everyone's getting messed up. And I think because now in the last, I'd say, year, the alcohol-free range and everything, the low and no alcohol, has it used to be an aisle of like 4 different options. Now it's like a massive aisle. And I went to a festival with a mindful drinking festival the other day, and there's so many different like little festivals coming up to explore this. I now don't find it that hard, because I can like some places in London, I can still have a pint, alcohol-free pint, and still converse, so it doesn't look like I'm not drinking. I think I'll be honest, the hardest part is the initial, oh, why aren't you drinking? Why aren't you drinking? But we'd never do that. I posted something yesterday. We'd never go, oh, why are you drinking? Why are you drinking? Do you know what I mean? It's that complete side of it. And it's like, you can't, again, I think I posted about this, you can't have fun, the free couple of things not to say, not me being a man, but like to a woman, oh, are you pregnant? And it proves more of like how you are, you prove more who you are as a person when you're not drinking, in my opinion. But I suppose the hardest thing is I don't want to come across preachy, because you can drink as much as everyone's entitled to their drink and do what they want.
Exactly. Like I was recently at a stag do for my cousin, and I had non-alcoholics, and the reason was I had to work the next day, but I know if I go for 1 or 2, I'll go for 3 drinks. On the 3rd drink, that's when my brain has made the switch, as in you're good to go, keep going. How can you cancel work tomorrow? Can you get someone to cover for you? All those conversations come together. And like, in all fairness, it was a good night. We had a lot of banter, but then at like, again, 10:30, 11, I was like, time for me to get out of here, because they're all getting silly, and it's going to become annoying for me to watch them or listen to them, because their conversations aren't making sense, but they're still all having fun. But but I had my time. I had my 3-4 hours there, and it was good. It was good crack. But I suppose one of the things, and I've wrestled with giving up drinking for a fair few years. I've threatened it so many times, and I would drink very rarely in any way, but the not feeling good, and I suppose like you say, the introduction of non-alcoholic beers have really made it a lot easier. Like I was out with a members event, they all had a big competition. We went out for food and drinks afterwards. I had 2 non-alcoholics, and then I went home. But normally I'd be like, all right, let's see what we can do. Like, how long can we stay out? Like, oh, we're having a buzz, let's celebrate. And I find that the culture is that if you do something well, you need to celebrate it by making yourself feel really bad the next day. Which I don't. It's not that, again, I'm not, like yourself, not trying to be preachy. I don't get it. But I still do it from time to time, but it's getting less. And I'm finding that the impact is not worth I suppose it's a young mug's game or young man's game, if you want to call it a man or a mug, it doesn't matter. I don't, yeah, as the older I get, like, if I'm not right till Wednesday, that puts off everything regarding work, regarding your training. If you drink on a night out, you're definitely eating crap food the next day.
Yeah.
You're gonna
Probably
overindulge
grouchy to your kids as well.
Yeah. Well, that was one thing. My son witnessed me being drunk once.
Yeah.
And this was like ages ago, and he brought it up. He only brought it up recently. It was just me and him, and he just said, "Remember the day you were being silly?" And I was like, "What? Which day?" And I was like, "We're dancing around the house." He goes, "When we were skiing, and we had to go get you, and you couldn't talk, and you were so noisy, and all this." And I was like, "Man, my son has that as a powerful memory in his head." I said, "I can't. Nothing in life is worth him like you and your nephews. Nothing is in life is worth having them have that opinion of you."
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's the truth. That's point blank the truth. You were a bit like your friends were like, you're a bit messy. You're grand. Come on, we'll get back on it next weekend or the weekend after. But having people like you say that look up to you, that and you inspire to a point, then their image of you is that. Then I think that's a good reason to firstly want to like slow it down, if not stop it all. But it's a good honest evaluation of yourself, which I think is a big thing for people to I really take on board. If you are impacting people that way, especially young people, I think you need to relook at it a little bit or start taking ownership of your actions when it comes to drinking. And again, I feel like if you drink, cool. And I do, I still do.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. As I said, I've wrestled with it. I haven't made the full on decision, but I love listening to stories from people that like have done it and then realize that their life is getting better.
Yeah. And it's weird because the circles you and I are mixing in now, especially, when we did our cert, like I feel that talking to a lot of them, not many are large boozers or even I think a lot of them gone teetotal, or I think because my life now and trying to build this business and I'm running, I'm playing golf, I've got quite a bit of hobbies and a lot more drive, obviously a lot more energy. Now I don't booze.
Yeah.
I feel that I haven't got time for it in my life. And I've had a couple of people go, well, you've obviously had a problem because you've had to stop. And I'm like, I probably did have a problem, but could I just have one now? I probably could just have one and then not do it again. But what's the point? I write a list down of the benefits and the cons. There's not many benefits to alcohol, in my opinion. Yeah. So
there's not. And if you look at it really, if you did like, firstly, the first time you ever took a drink, doesn't matter. I was a teenager. I was like, oh, that's disgusting. Beer, spirits, wine, every time. First time I had it, disgusting.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like people are like, oh, I love a good beer. No, I like a cold pint on a really hot day. But realistically, I've grown accustomed to a negative taste. It's not, and it's a company that has gone out of its way to make the alcohol taste less bad. Yeah, so you can drink. Like I love why people go, "Oh, I'm a gin drinker." I like, yeah, but with elderflower and a lemon and raspberry.
Yeah.
Like, no, you're hiding how horrible that is, so you can consume more of it. That's crazy. And then the impact. I know, it's Alan Carr. I think I read one of his books on it, and he was saying like alcohol, it only causes stress. It's an undercurrent of stress, but it's not a de-stressor. There's no scientific evidence. Now I get like on a Friday night, all the kids have gone to bed. Might have a glass of wine to unwind, but unwinding is you chilling out. It wasn't the glass of wine helping you unwind. It's like when you go to the cinema, the first thing you think of is popcorn and a Coke, because it's built that way.
Yeah.
It's marketing to a point. So, and it's advertised unwind with a wine or unwind with a drink, and it's built into us, but that's not what's actually happening.
But again, like, you know what I said, I'll resort to the start of the conversation, and what you've just picked up a minute ago is like, mummy and daddy every night, because they're stressed, have them picked up a bottle of wine to share it between them. Kids come down, mummy and daddy will relax every night with a bottle of wine. What message does that send out to the kids? And like, is like, we have to, because we're stressed, we'll reach to the wine. Because we're anxious, we'll reach to the wine. Because we're buzzing, we'll reach to, because we've just passed our exams, we'll reach for the wine or booze or whatever. You know, it's such a, like you said, a culture thing. You know, I think 30 to 45, you know, I think the youngsters now are more into like YouTube and, you know, TikToks. I don't think it's there anymore with that a lot. But between 30 and 45, I'd say, like, our culture was that on the booze, you know.
Yeah. Oh, well, I totally agree, and that's the one thing that I think we can have an impact on, because it is, if you grow up in a norm, then it's normal. If having alcohol, like you've seen your parents having a few drinks, and again, I want to stress, I'm not against it, I'm not anti it, but if you're doing it like 3-4 times a week or once or twice a week, and it's religious on the same, it's now a habit, whether it's de-stressing or not. But if your kids see that, then the kids understand that drinking is normal, it's okay. But then what happens when they get to a certain age? You're not allowed to drink.
Yeah.
And then you're not allowed to drink, and then you can't drink like this. And then, so it's kind of hypocritical. It's like me telling my kids they're not allowed to have tattoos. All I can do is advise them to get a tattoo that has meaning, and that meaning will stay with you for the rest of your life. I can't go, you're not getting tattoos. I have tattoos. Yeah. That'd be hypocritical to all ends. But I do think that's one of the things I actually put in the request to try and be one of the speakers. And my topic is, because we work with youths, is we have the ability to stop a generation from repeating our mistakes with regards to anxiety, depression, suicide, stress, by helping them become more physically and mentally stronger through adversity, teaching them adversity and teaching them what like that you don't have to conform to what society is as a standard. Like, what's the first thing most people do when they turn 18? They go for a pint.
Yeah.
Because you're legally allowed, even though most of them have already drank before then. But then they go sit in a pint. And I suppose, like, actually I had a conversation with one of my uncles, and he's my favorite. Like, I love him to bits. But he said his last son has turned 18. He goes, I'd love to get me, you, and the two boys and your brother. Would love to go for a drink. And I was like, yeah, that'd be cool. And he goes, it really mean a lot to him. And I was like, we could just go hang out.
Yeah.
As well. But that can't happen. That would never be the situation. It has to be sitting in a pub, and then he can look at the different generations and be like, yeah. And my uncle's old school, and again, he's a big, he used to be a big drinker, not as much anymore. But it's that kind of mentality. But that can be changed. Like, it was all this, like, oh, you will use promise that when the kid, those boys were old, that you'd go and bring them on the sauce and bring them out and all that. I said, yeah, but like, I'm your age. Yeah, I'm your age when you did that with us, and it was cool. Uncle Liam brought us out when we were young teenagers. But for me now, it was like, well, I don't see the benefit of bringing a 17, 18-year-old out and getting them completely drunk just to have a story later on in life. I'd rather help him in any other way or do other stuff with him. And I'd have a drink, but I'm not going to go out of my way to get him off his face just as a rite of passage, which
that's it.
I think we should experience different rites of passage rather than getting
completely
blacked out drunk for what's a very it's okay, they're good memories, but they're bad memories at the same time.
Half the time you don't remember them. Do you know what I mean? I've it's quite weird and how it's flipped, because obviously I was massively bought into that culture, you know, and again, this is not a preachy podcast and I'm not there to do it, but it's good now that my nephews then don't see me as that guy slumped over the table, but they want to do park runs with me, you know. So the difference in showing, not telling, is incredible. You know, I'm training for a London Marathon. I've already walked a marathon this year. Seeing them seeing like that instead of me turning up hanging, meeting them, it's a different ball game, isn't it?
Yeah, and again, you only get so many opportunities to impact on someone, and especially with young people. So every time I say today, it's not the amount of time you spend with someone, it's the quality time you spend, the amount of quality you put into the time you spend. So I don't need to see someone every day, but when I see them, I want them to be like, this is me. And I want that to be like, this is Uncle Stephen, or this is Stephen Kinsley. This is what he does. This is who he is. And he's a genuine person. Some days he's not happy-go-lucky. Some days he's a bit pissed off at life, because that's normal. But when I get the opportunity to see my nephews, or I get the opportunity to do an event or do something with my son or my daughter, then I'm going to make the most of it, because they're again, it's as we say, it's magic moments. You want to build as many as possible, because you're giving yourself a sense of gratitude that you're doing something like that, but also you get to impact on people, and I suppose their memory of you is not the guy in the pub drunk. It's not the uncle passed out on the kitchen table with cans around him. It is, oh, my uncle, that he ran a marathon and he did this and he's done this and he's done all these cool things. He gets in the water every day and it's so cold. And so I'd rather that than my fun drunk uncle.
Exactly.
It's not what I want to be.
Yeah. So like exactly what you said with the cold, you know, the cold water, it may be daft, but the last time my partner and I were in Norfolk, they come in with us into the cold water, you know, and that is, to me, that was like, wow, that's a magic moment, right? And instead of like waiting until they're 18 and getting them on the sauce, I could do that. You know, I took them to a water park the other day, and it's having that impact on them rather than waiting until they're 18 and going, look, let me see you get absolutely battered tonight. You won't remember it tomorrow, but it'll be a good experience because Uncle Marcus did it as well, you know, and exactly what I did the same. But yeah, like seeing them, you know, embrace the cold water for the first time, and you know, that's the shit that brings joy to my face, you know, and makes it's that starter piece we said, like impacting others is what we like to do.
Yes,
you know, it really makes me smile when I see you doing that with your kids. Touch wood, you know, I'll have kids one day and I'll be able to do that. But the impact you have by being active and doing your own amazing work impacts others. You know what I mean? And I think we forget that, you and I, by doing what we do, I just think it's a norm. But maybe that one piece that we put out, if someone else does the daily 10 every day and loses 10 stone and gains confidence, or, you know, 10 stone is a massive amount, but 10 pound and gains confidence in their body and without telling you, and then comes and tells you that and says, oh, this is amazing. What you do is incredible.
Well,
Yeah.
that's one of the big things I think. And I'm not looking for people to, like, if someone turns around and says, hey, you did this and it helped me do this, I'm like, that's cool. I love hearing those stories. But it's showing people that you don't need the world to change. You just need to do one small thing. And that's why I created Daily 10 every day. I do. And I don't post the videos every single day because I just don't want to annoy people with me doing burpees every day. Because it gets kind of boring. But most mornings, as soon as I get up, I go downstairs and I'll just do 10 burpees. And just why? Because why not get up and down off the floor? It's a survival movement as we age. We need to be able to fall and get ourselves back up. But it's 10 every single day, and it gets your heart rate a little bit jacked. And if you're really unfit, you just take a slower time and you build it up and build it up. And if you can do 10 burpees every day, you can do anything every day. You can go for a walk, you can go for a bit of run, you can challenge yourself, but it's a start. Everyone thinks they need this big overhaul. No, you just need to make one small change, whether it's going to bed a little bit earlier or getting up a little bit earlier or start having a cold shower, or you're doing a burpee or you're doing a walk, you're doing a run, or you made a change to your diet. It doesn't matter. Once it's something that gets you moving, gets you going and getting your energy levels back up, you're feeling better. And and we've spoken throughout this show about a bunch of different things, but at the end of it, like, what it actually means is that if you take care of yourself and you don't punish your body with like junk food, like and alcohol, and like you're putting yourself, surrounding yourself with good people, and you're just trying to do things the best that you can, guess what? You end up having a happier life. You have more energy. You're able to meet more people. That's if you want to meet more people. You're able to communicate better. You just, everything feels better.
Yeah.
So like it's simple. Make small changes and you'll start feeling better. But people, again, a lot of people I think believe that they need a massive overhaul, and it's not as simple as, like I said, like someone I had on the phone for the gym, I was like, you've no focus. Let's get you back in. Let's do what's one thing you'd like to do? I'd like to run at 10K. Okay. There's the 10K in October. Let's do it. I'll do it with you. Okay. You know, you're doing it. To get there, you have to start turning back up to the gym. Okay, cool. I said, we'll go run together. Cool. And now they're back and they're signed up, and now they're thinking about doing a triathlon next year. Because now they've got that. But everyone falls into that slump. But it's like people like yourself and the guys that we know, and there's like obviously a lot more people out there that are helping people, like gym owners and people that just generally are nice people. Like they're just trying to help people. And like, as I say, 5 seconds of your day can impact someone's day, full day. So 5 seconds of what I could say or do or post or just in passing, 5 seconds can literally change someone else's day. I said that's a huge amount of power that you have to help other people without asking for anything in return. I think is a big thing. It's a big thing that we can do, and we should do it. Yeah.
And you're right. Like, it's not, I don't want anything in return. I don't want the plaudits. I just want to change people's mindset and life, because I know that it's possible. Tell me 5-6 years ago, I didn't think it was possible, and I thought I would be sad, miserable, fat, depressed, etc. But I didn't start, but I didn't wake up and go, right, I'm running marathons tomorrow. It might have started, like you said, with a Joe Wicks workout or a 10-minute bike. But now my most I've run is 16 miles, and I've got a marathon in 6 weeks. But what I suppose what I'm trying to get is little and often, if you change, we can't turn off a bad habit. We can just change it to be a good habit. I think that it's simple, right? It's just simplifying it. I think we overcomplicate it because we feel we have to lift 100 kilos. We have to run marathons straight away. But, Rome wasn't built in a day, and we're here to we've all had our dark times, and I think we're here to make sure that people aren't still suffering and helping them out of that. So,
and I think partly like you're running a marathon, you have to train for it and stuff like that. But I think when you set yourself challenges and you have to suffer and you have to go through adversity and you have to like literally question, why am I doing this? And I'm sure closer to the marathon, you'll be like, oh, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
And then in the marathon, you'll be like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? But the aftermath of that, the effect that has on you as a person of growth is huge. And I think that if we set ourselves up, and it's a thing, I'm listening to Comfort Crisis at the moment. And they talk about Misogi, and Misogi is taking on a task that you're pretty much 50% could fail.
Yeah, I saw that today. You posted.
Yeah, so the challenge that we're doing in May is a Misogi, because we have no comprehension of how each task will impact the body, and I think the first one will, and I wrote this, I designed this, but I think it'll be on average it'll take between 10 to 12 hours, and it will hurt if we complete it. It will be horrendous to complete. It will take a lot of mental toughness to get ourselves over the line, unless the body literally breaks and you have to physically stop because of injury. But yeah, I'm really excited for it, because I know that even if I fail it, even if something was to happen, I'm going to take a huge win from it, because I've tested. And I think a lot of people think that, like you say, like they want to run a marathon or they want to do an event, they feel I have to put in all this new effort and training. You do have to put in training. You do have to put in effort. But the thing is that the end result is complete a task. Like statistically, if you can run 12 to 15 miles, you have the capacity to run a marathon.
Yeah.
It's more mental than anything else. It's just trudging along. So
it certainly is.
Now you can train and do if you talk to a marathon coach, he will give you the 3, 4, 5 day running program. But what if you only have 2 days to train? Could you train for a marathon? Yes. Would it be the best marathon? No. Will you suffer? Yes. Will you learn from it? Yes. Will you be a better person for completing it? Yes. Yeah. So I think I'm a firm believer in completing a task. And the more tasks I complete, the better I don't try to run to crush times, or people say, oh, I need a 3-hour marathon. That's great. That's not my goal. I have so many other goals that a 3-hour marathon would take away from the other things that I do. So my goal is to complete the task, which is complete the marathon. Now, if it was that, okay, now I want to run it faster, I know what has to happen. I know I have to put in a lot more effort and a lot more focus, and I have to give up certain things, which I will refuse to give up, because I refuse to give up my strength training for tasks. Like within the next 2.5 weeks, I have to swim 5K. I've only ever swam 2K, and I haven't put in enough training. My coach has told me repeatedly, I haven't put in enough training for this. But I'm going to, when she tells me you've got these days where the sea is going to be at its best, I'm going to go down and going to attempt a 5K swim. And if anything, I'll swim more than I've ever swum in my life. So I'm going to get a win. And if all goes really well, I will have swam 5K. So there's my Mizogi. No, it's not Mizogi. Mizogi for 2020, for 2022, and I already have my one set up for 2023, and I'm already thinking of something for 24 and 25, because my brain works like, what's the next big thing? And every year I want to put a challenge out there to myself to go, how, and I just know that when I suffer and I can get through the suffering, I will be a better person.
Yeah, and I think you've hit the nail on the head. Like a lot of what, you're going to swim far more than you've ever swum. Progress over perfection. And, I see different medals behind you. I set myself some of my goals. And I think, flipping back to what you said, I don't think enough people have goals anyway, any goals. So they're going through life without a sense of direction / purpose. And I think that, again, is where we come in and help people understand that there is a purpose, and you can set amazing goals.
I and what you said there is, I just sorry for cutting you across.
No worries.
I heard this today, and I thought it was really good. Because you said like people don't have any goals. If you look at your life like a book, and I know this is kind of corny and new agey and all this, but it really resonated with me today when I heard it. I think it was on an Instagram reel, or it was on it was on a Joe DeSena podcast, Spartan podcast, and the guy was saying is that if you treat your life like a book, the only guarantee is you know how it started, but you're responsible and have the capacity to constantly change it to finish. So we know our life to now. And if you haven't done that, if you feel like you haven't done anything or you failed, then you still have the capacity to finish the book, finish your life the way you want it to, just because it's already happened. And I thought it was a nice way to put it. Because it makes a lot of sense. It's like, yeah, we all have had tough times. Some have had harder times than others. But we all have the capacity to change that if we want to change. And we got to set targets and goals and plan and use planners. And you might think that that's wishy-washy, but you and I know it's totally helped us get to the next level of where we want to be. And it's going to help us keep going up and wanting to do more and be more as a person. So I just thought that was a quite an interesting statement. I like it. I'm definitely going to use it a fair bit. I need to find out.
Yeah, it's incredible what you said about the planners, and wishy-washy and things, because the amount of questions and queries that I get about journaling, and obviously if you'd have told me I had journaled 2 years ago, I'd have laughed at you and wrote. But if I don't journal, I think I've consistently journaled for the last 7 months. If I don't journal, there's a massive part of my day when I'm like, especially at the evening, reflecting on the wins. I haven't, as we sit here, I haven't had the best of days, but there's going to be 3 wins in it. This is a massive win for me. I was so nervous coming into this, but you've made me feel like amazing, and it's just flowed. So I think journaling for you and I is, well, definitely for me, it's been a game changer for just leveling up.
Oh yeah, and I needed the likes of Paul and Kath to hold you accountable. If you don't report, you get called out. And I kind of need that, because I went through like a week or two where I wouldn't journal, or I'd only do the mornings and wasn't doing the evening. And I find even what's your number one focus for the week? And it's always fill in my planner, because I can get quite lazy with it. But then when I don't do it, my week gets all messy. And then my head gets more messy. And I remember talking to Paul I think we were 3 months in or 4 months in, and we had a call, and I always went, I'm finding that I'm finishing my work a lot quicker and earlier, and I feel like I'm not actually working. But when I look at what I've done, I've hit every task. And he goes, that's because you've strategically planned your week. So you're not just you're not reacting to everything that's happening. You've planned it. So you're finishing, you're after clearing up hours in your week that you were losing to sitting in your office being stressed out and doing nothing. And I was like, and he goes, how does that make you feel? I was like, I kind of feel like I'm cheating a little bit, because like I've all this free time now. And he goes, that's how you spend the rest of your life. I was like, yeah, that's why I do it. And again, don't get me wrong, there's times it goes a little bit off, but I always pull it back in. And that's why I still do it. I think the planner, and even if you're not obviously with Paul or doing any of that, like if you're journaling and you're holding yourself accountable for your actions when it comes to having a better, more productive life, 100%.
So I still use Paul's templates, because it's incredible. Like what doesn't get wrote down doesn't get done, right?
Exactly. So like,
incredible.
Obviously I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but with regards to what you're like, what's the goal for you? What's the plan for the rest of this year going into next year, with what you're doing with helping people?
So the plan is really to I'm going to launch like different sets of programs coming up, which you look out for. But like, yeah, it's really just to impact as much men as possible, and to I've just done this on my social. Is to impact as much men as possible, and to start making a change. You know, within, I suppose the sobriety groups as well. Like, I've made some great connects with them, and just really saying there is help out there. You know, and we don't all breaking a little bit of stigma is we don't have to be all macho, and to realize people that even if they have got their shit together, I can enhance that. So it's really just carrying on what I'm doing, spreading the word, picking up more, amazing stuff along the way. I did want to delve into book writing as well, but I think I'll do the audio book first.
Yeah.
So it's just really sort of carrying on the baton in terms of like, that's what work wise, but like I think like you, like setting myself some amazing 5 goals going forward as well. You know, like just testing myself and putting myself into better environments to help me grow, help my business grow, and really like I suppose the main thing is just impacting as much people as possible. You know, it doesn't have to be men only because they don't tend to talk, and obviously I am a man, and I've struggled. So it's realizing that, getting men to realize it's okay to talk. And I know that's again quite cliche and quite wanky, but it's now truer than right now, when we've all been through a massive changes and everything in the world.
Like you get like anxiety rates are up, depression's up, suicide is up, everything's up. Everything.
Yeah.
We have the most convenient life imaginable, and everything negative in our lives is through the roof. So convenience isn't the win. And so I do think there's not only a need, a want for what we do. There's a massive need out there. And again, if you can change one life, that's a win. If you can impact someone that you didn't even know, that's a win. But if you're able to, and then you're using your own story to do it, then just, man, keep doing what you're doing. Like, as I said, if you haven't, like, I'll put your Instagram handle on the show notes for people that can check out and follow you. And again, like me, if you want to reach out to Marcus, or you have questions with regards to even like just kind of counseling, or when you're feeling down and depressed, or even like alcohol, or kind of, even if you want to talk about non-alcoholic beers, I'm sure Marcus would be happy enough to give you some pointers or tips, or how to navigate a weekend, or actually a festival, booze free. So that's a big one. That's a big one.
DMs are always open as well, you know, for anyone and everyone. But DMs are open. I'd rather talk to someone than be at their funeral. I know that's quite morbid and hard hitting, but it's the truth, you know.
Yeah. No, that's cool. Marcus, firstly, thank you for being on the show. But look, dude, it's been great. We'll obviously stay in touch through thing, and then hey, we should do a stupid challenge together at some point.
Oh mate, that would be amazing. Doing a stupid challenge. It sounds, your challenge looks epic, and I mean, did you do Penny Fan as well? Yeah,
I was meant to, but it was the weekend before was the cert.
Yeah, it was.
I have to pick it. I booked in for both, but I had to pick what was more important, because obviously me traveling is a couple of days away from the family, and then I just have to pick like what's important. Sense. So definitely something I want to do. Yeah. But like, I'm up for, like, literally tell me, hey, this sounds ridiculous, and I'll be like, okay, let's go do it.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's the structure of the training is great as well. You know, I'm 4 times a week with a marathon, and it's tough, but it will be worth it.
Exactly. It'll be worth it. And then that's the main thing. But dude, literally, thanks for being on the show. Hey, I will touch base with you soon, and keep doing what you're doing, because you're definitely impacting people.
Amazing. Have a good one. Take care, mate.
All right,
cheers,
mate. Cheers.
See you, man.
Trust me, every time my alarm goes off,
Depends on the sport a little bit, but
They need to worry. They're bad at what I teach.
So excited to hit this workout.
I'm so glad my parents never let me.
You're listening to the Live Play podcast.